Hello, career shakers. Welcome to today's session. Today, we're diving into the top 5 mistakes blocking you from interviews, and more importantly, how to fix them so you can position yourself for the roles you truly deserve. Whether you're actively job searching or preparing for your next move, this session is for you. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And if you don't know me, I'm Bonnie Negron. I'm a certified career coach, resume writer, and LinkedIn profile writer with over 20 years of experience in HR best practices and recruiting. I've been a hiring manager. I've worked on the other side of the job seeking realm. I've worked in Wall Street, at Fortune 100 companies, small startups, mid-sized companies, you name it. Where I excel and what I love most is helping job seekers get noticed and helping organizations find the best talent. With that being said, let's dive in. So today's topic, we're going to be going over the 5 mistakes that are blocking you from interviews. And mistake number 1, applying without clarity. Let's talk about this in a deep dive because the first mistake I see is applying to roles without crystal clear clarity on what you're looking for. If you're just throwing your resume at every opportunity, using the easy apply, not tailoring it for specific jobs, you're setting yourself up for rejection. The reason for this is because recruiters can spot when your resume or LinkedIn profile looks too broad or unfocused. You cannot be open to every single industry or role. It simply doesn't work anymore. Here's an example. If you're in HR, IT, or finance, the role requirements are going to vary significantly depending on the industry. Working in a regulated industry like pharmaceuticals, it has completely different expectations compared to a creative industry, let's say like fashion or beauty. So I hear this all the time. Job seekers think, I'm in IT, so I can work anywhere, but that's not the case, unfortunately. If your resume and LinkedIn profile don't reflect the specific industry that you're targeting, or worse, if you're not sure which industry you should be focusing on, then you're going to keep applying without getting the results that you're looking for. So what is the solution to this? Okay. What you want to do is you want to be specific about the roles and the industries that you're targeting. This isn't about applying broadly. It's about applying strategically. And if you're not sure which industries are the best fit for you, that's something we help with. Through our proven process, we ensure the industries you're targeting align with your behavioral style, communication preferences, and career goals. After all, not all industries are the same, and the last thing that you want to do is land in an industry that feels like the wrong fit, because then you have to be in a job search all over again, and you know that can take months and months at a time, right? So get clear on your focus. Something to take away from this is really getting clear on your focus before you apply. It makes all the difference. All right. Mistake number 2 is relying too much on job boards. Did you know that only about 20% of the jobs are posted online? If job boards are your primary strategy, you're missing out on the majority of opportunities that are out there, and you're competing against hundreds, if not thousands of applicants. Now, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that job boards are the most effective way to land a role. After all, they're convenient, accessible, they give you the illusion of productivity, right? And we've been doing it this way since the internet became a thing. But here's the reality. Job boards are only one piece of the puzzle, and not even the most effective one, especially when there are probably hundreds of applications that have been submitted before you even submit yours. So when you rely on job boards, you're competing against hundreds of candidates for the same role. It's making it hard for you to stand out. Most leadership and specialized roles are never even posted online. They're filled through internal networks or referrals. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But applying through a job board, it doesn't allow you to build relationships or showcase your value beyond what's written on your resume. I see this mistake all the time, especially with professionals who are accomplished in their field, but feel stuck in their search. They spend hours applying online only to hear nothing back. And why is that? Because the hidden job market, those opportunities that are filled through relationships and networking, That's where the real magic is happening, folks. Okay. So it's time to shift your focus. Instead of spending all your time on job boards, start building relationships that matter and tapping into your network. Connect with hiring managers, past supervisors, and colleagues. Join industry specific groups. Leverage your LinkedIn profile to make meaningful connections. And this doesn't mean abandoning job boards entirely, because I do have a lot of clients that are still landing roles that way. It just means you have to use them strategically, and you have to have the right documents that are going to let you stand out as well. Apply for roles that align with your goals, but don't stop there. You have to reach out to decision makers directly. You have to engage with companies you're interested in. Let your network know that you're exploring opportunities. If you're not sure how to access this hidden job market or how to position yourself for roles that aren't posted, that's where we come in. We help you develop a proactive strategy to stand out online and offline, build relationships, and uncover opportunities that aren't visible to everybody else. We can even expand your network by connecting you with thousands of our recruiter partners. So take my client, Kiana, for example. Just a week and a half after updating her LinkedIn profile using our optimization and algorithm strategy, she was sought out for a role that wasn't posted online or made public. From interview to offer, the process took about 3.5 months. She leveled up 2 notches in her career from director to chief development officer. This is exactly what I mean when I talk about tapping into the hidden job market. So it's important to recognize that job boards are a tool, but they're not a strategy. The hidden job market is where most of the opportunities are, and we can help you unlock it by leveraging technology and automation. And it's important to understand that if you are going to apply online to the job boards, make sure you're reading all of the instructions on the job application. If you are being asked to provide a cover letter, make sure you do that. If you're being asked to answer certain questions or do a skills assessment, do it. If you skip any parts of the application, that organization is going to reject you. That's, just the way it is. I mean, I do that in my own line of work with organizations that I recruit for. If they're not following the instructions on the job posting, they will not be considered, especially if it's something major that we do need to make a, good decision on whether we should bring them in for an interview or not. Okay. So really important that you follow the instructions on the application. Okay. Next thing, mistake number 3, generic resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Now, a one-size-fits-all resume or LinkedIn profile, it just doesn't work anymore. If your materials are generic, they won't speak to the roles or industries you're targeting. This is going to leave recruiters and hiring managers underwhelmed. I see it all the time. I hear from them all the time. I see it myself, right? Your resume and LinkedIn profile, they're your first impression, and they need to reflect you, your unique skills, achievements, how they align with the role you're pursuing. Generic resumes filled with vague statements like responsible for, results driven, worked on, a copy and paste of the job description, that's not telling your story or differentiating you from other candidates. And let's talk about LinkedIn for a moment. Many professionals overlook how crucial their profile is in today's job market. Some job seekers think they don't even need it and they're scared of it. Now, recruiters use LinkedIn to search for candidates who align with their open roles. And if your profile isn't optimized with the right keywords, achievements, industry alignment, you will never show up in their searches. So raise your hand if you're not being sought out on LinkedIn, because if you're not, that's a telltale sign that your LinkedIn profile is not working for you on the back end, where a lot of the hiring today is happening. Okay, so another mistake that I see is focusing too much on your job duties instead of your results. Recruiters want to know, how did you make an impact? How did you add value to the organization? Can you bring those same results to their team? So without specific accomplishments and tailored language, your resume and LinkedIn, they just become another document in a sea of applications. Now, additionally, with the rise of AI generated resumes, imagine a hiring manager, put yourself in their shoes for a moment, and you're reviewing resumes that are identical. This is really happening right now. I'm seeing this for myself when I recruit candidates from my corporate clients, and it immediately is a rejection for me and many other hiring managers that I speak to. So, how do you resolve this? Make sure that your resume and LinkedIn profile are customized to the roles and the industries that you're targeting. This means you're highlighting measurable achievements. So, for example, instead of saying, launch product in a new market and secured 5 new clients, well, that's clear, right? Instead, say increased revenue by 25% by leading sales team on how to tap into new market potential and secured 5 new clients. Right? It's like such night and day from how you're explaining your experience and what an organization thinks about your candidacy. Okay. So use keywords that align with the job description, but also with the industry as a whole. You can't just update certain parts of your resume with keywords from the job description. The entire resume needs to tell a story that is clearly showing how you have the transferable skills for a particular industry or the industry experience in general. Too many job seekers are skipping this part, and they think changing just a few words here and there is key. Hiring managers can see this right away. So you do have to tell a story on your document. And the same thing goes for tailoring your LinkedIn headline and summary to the position you want. It has to be tailored towards the roles that you want. And if you're concerned to make changes to your LinkedIn because your employer is on there, your boss is on there, there are ways that we can help you to still tailor your resume without setting off any red flags, to your employer. So it's not a one size fits all approach solution too. So you would need to speak with us so we can understand what's going to be the best strategy for you, because it will vary depending on the person, the role, the level of experience, all of that, right? It's not like do it this way and it goes for everybody. That's not the case. So when you do this effectively, you're no longer just an applicant. You'll be the person that recruiters and hiring managers want to talk to, and this is what you want. So something to take away from this is that your resume and LinkedIn, they aren't just documents. They're your marketing tools. They must be specific, measurable, and aligned with your target roles, and so that you'll stand out every time. But this goes without saying, make sure they're also free of typos and grammatical errors as well. I'm still seeing, resumes that have typos and grammatical errors. And typically that is a sign for a rejection right away, especially if you're spelling the name of your university or even your degree wrong and you're applying for a role that they really need somebody who's paying strong attention to detail. You know what, that's just not gonna fly with a hiring manager. So really important that you triple check. There's tools out there. You can use ChatGPT to check your typos, Grammarly. Never submit anything that has typos or grammatical error. All right. Mistake number 4 is ignoring your personal brand. Your personal brand matters. It's what it is all about. Whether you're a job seeker, a business owner, the social media world, the online network, it's not going away. And your personal brand it matters, especially if you're in leadership roles, especially if you're in the job market. If you're not actively controlling your narrative, you're leaving it up to others to define it for you. And that's not what you want, right? You don't want people to assume that they understand what your narrative is. You want to be crystal clear about what your brand is. So it's not just a buzzword, but it's how you're perceived by recruiters, hiring managers, industry peers. And so the resume and LinkedIn is the first thing that you see. Without a personal brand to those documents, they're not going to get you to the next round. And this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of resumes where you've done a great job, keeping a list of everything that you've done, but there's no branding to it. I have no idea, no do hiring managers have any idea who you are. And that's what's missing from a lot of the resumes that I'm reviewing today. So when you don't intentionally build and refine your brand, you risk being overlooked or misunderstood. That is huge. So inconsistent messaging is a red flag. If your resume, LinkedIn, and online presence don't tell a cohesive story about who you are, what you do, the value you bring, recruiters will just move on to someone else who has a clearer, more compelling brand. And when I say recruiters, I'm talking about recruiters directly at companies and third-party recruiters as well. You have to be recruiter ready, especially if you're working with a third-party recruiter. okay? Because they have so many applicants. And if you're not recruiter ready for them, they're just going to go on to somebody who is, that they can position in front of their client that they're recruiting for. So your digital footprint, everything from your LinkedIn activity to what comes up when someone Googles your name, that is shaping your personal brand. So for example, are you engaging with thought leadership in your industry? Have you Googled your name to see what comes up? Do your LinkedIn posts or comments demonstrate expertise? Are you positioning yourself as someone who is ready to take on the next leadership? These are all things that you want to be asking yourself, and do your due diligence to see, like, what is it that others are seeing when they check and scope you out. Now, ignoring your personal brand also means that you're missing out on huge opportunities to build credibility and stand out in a competitive market. So if you've just been sitting there and applying to jobs online and that's been your only strategy, really think about how you can change this, okay? And I'm going to talk in a moment about some ways that you can do that, but you have to make an effort to bring your personal brand into this. Now, when decision makers look you up, and trust me, they will, what they find should reinforce why you're the ideal candidate. Okay, so you have to start viewing yourself as a brand today. This is major. If not, you're probably going to be settling for roles that are a lateral move or that are paying you the same salary, not much of a bump, right? Every client that we work with here, we're positioning them for the maximum salary potential so that they don't have to worry that they're leaving thousands of dollars in lost salary on the table. So once you start viewing yourself as a brand, this can happen for you too. So this means consistency across the platforms, your resume, your LinkedIn, and other professional materials should all align and reflect your unique strengths and career story. You also want to engage on LinkedIn. You want to post content, you want to share industry insights, participate in discussions that position you as a thought leader. And as a matter of fact, when you're active on LinkedIn, other than just going on to apply for jobs and look at job postings, you can actually be highlighted as a spotlighted candidate on LinkedIn for recruiters. So it's really important for you to do more than just apply for jobs on there. You want to actively engage. You also want to showcase your expertise. Use your LinkedIn summary and post to highlight specific accomplishments, leadership qualities, and what makes you stand out. Because I can't stress this enough, your personal brand is your secret weapon. And when you take control of your narrative and present yourself as a leader in your field, opportunities will find you. It's been proven time and time again with the clients that we're working with, okay? Our last mistake, we're coming up on it, mistake number 5, this is a big one. Huge, huge, huge lack of follow-up. The follow-up is where most candidates are dropping the ball. So if you're not following up after interviews or even after networking conversations, you're missing a key opportunity to stand out. The fortune is in the follow-up. Jim Rohn was not wrong when he came up with this phase, okay? Many job seekers think the process ends once they hit the submit button on an application and finish an interview, but that's just simply not the truth. Follow-up isn't just a courtesy, it's a strategy. It's a strategic move. It shows professionalism, enthusiasm, genuine interest in the role, and problem-solving skills. So here's why follow-ups matter. Number one, it keeps you on top of mind. Hiring managers and recruiters, they're juggling dozens, sometimes hundreds of candidates. So a thoughtful follow-up helps you stand out. It also reinforces your value. A follow-up isn't just a thank you note. It's a chance to remind them why you're the best fit for the role. And it also sets you apart. Many candidates skip this step entirely. So a well-crafted follow-up immediately elevates you, but the key is to do it right. Generic follow-ups like just checking in won't cut it. You need to be intentional and specific. So here's how you can make your follow-up count. After the interview, you can send a personalized thank you note within 24 to 48 hours is a nice rule of thumb, maybe longer if you had an interview on a Friday and you want to send something over on Monday. Now, reference specific points from the conversation and reiterate your enthusiasm for the role. I can't stress this enough because recently I had someone that I was interviewing for one of my corporate clients and I knew immediately the thank you note was broad. It wasn't customized at all. It was a total turnoff for me. And she did not make it to the next round for that reason, because there was no effort made on her part to truly reflect on what the role was all about. It was just like broad statements. Thank you. I can really see how I can be an impact on your organization. You had an hour interview. There were specific points that were referenced and talk about that. They should be in your thank you note. If they're not, that's a red flag for me. Again, a total no. So your follow-up and your thank you note could really be a make or break in that interview process. So how are you handling your thank you notes? And make sure there's a strategy behind that. Okay. Another thing that you can do to make your follow-up count, like let's say you're networking, if someone gave you advice or referred you to a role, follow up with them, thank them, let them know how their guidance helped you, right? Stay in connection with them. And it's important, that's the next thing, like to have ongoing communication. You need to stay in touch with recruiters or hiring managers. If you don't hear back immediately, a polite follow-up every couple of weeks shows persistence without being pushy. So something that you always want to keep in mind when it comes to the follow-up is that it's not really optional. It's an essential part of the job search process. Now, a thoughtful follow-up can be the difference between getting overlooked and getting the offer, right? And because I'm seeing that myself even now. I mean, the stories that I'm telling you, these were just last week, things that I was experiencing. And another thing you want to do, like if you get a call for an interview, I just want to add this in like a bonus because I've been seeing this a lot. Don't say like, what job is this for? You need to be organized. Saying, after you speak with this phone screener, to send them a copy of the job description, or what was the salary again, or what job was this for? I mean, you need to know when you're applying to everything and anything, you're going to be caught in that position because you're applying to so much that you're not organized and you don't know who's calling you. And that's also a turnoff for hiring managers. So try to avoid that trap as well. Okay. So that's just a little bonus mistake that I've been seeing in real time that, it definitely could prevent you from getting a call back or even getting an interview. So to recap, the top 5 mistakes blocking you are applying without clarity, relying too much on the job boards, using generic resumes and LinkedIn profile with no strategy, ignoring your personal brand, and failing to follow up. Fixing even one of these mistakes can really transform your job search, and I'm here to help you make that happen. So if any of these resonate with you and you need a deeper support to overcome these hurdles, let me know in the comments. My team and I can send you a link to see if you qualify to work with us so you can land the role you deserve.